everyone, welcome to Pepo Coin channel. For those who are unfamiliar with the channel, I hope you will subscribe after watching this video. I therefore already know what will be said in the comments section of this video. Oh, another video in the next 24 hours? Or oh, we must get ready once again? I simply wanted to briefly remind everyone that we do need to get ready. If you're sitting here waiting for a major purchase opportunity or for something to happen, the next 24 hours will be tumultuous. Yes, there will be some pretty important changes in this market during the course of the next day. Why? Because the stock market will be greatly impacted by what happens in the next 24 hours, and cryptocurrency will be greatly impacted as well. These films may not be for you if you dislike hearing about current happenings in the real world and stock market trends. However, I make an effort to maintain an entirely objective perspective on these markets, and I want to provide you all with the most recent information that could impact your portfolio. We will not simply wait for a crypto fairy to declare that the markets are ready to rise. No, these factors actually sort of dictate what occurs in this market. You know what comes next? We also need to get ready. Because these sharp up and down swings have the potential to rock you to your core, we must ensure that we are prepared. It can alter your perspective on the market. Additionally, it might alter the type of market phase or cycle we are currently in. Now, what am I discussing? What am I trying to say with this video? It is, in fact, the weekly financial news. The Fed is going to give us an update on rates, so today is going to be a huge day for finance. Interest rates are a clear indicator that either our economy is improving or we are experiencing some problems. I'll discuss it here in a moment, but first, we need to speak about what's happening outside of the Fed's ruling and what might genuinely influence the Fed's next move. First, we examine the tariffs. All right, the Trump administration just made another significant announcement. They will equal the tariffs that other nations have imposed on our domestic goods. Do I now concur with this? 100%. The market will be impacted, which is the problem. Because people dislike the trade war, this will have a negative impact on the markets. They dislike talking about tariffs. I've stated it numerous times. That's not to say I dislike the concept of tariffs in general. Rather, I prefer the notion that we're leveling the playing field. The main issue with it, in my opinion, is that it occurs during a year when liquidity is significantly improving. Up until the start of the trade war in 2025, it was significantly improving. Again, I'm mostly considering this from a market perspective rather than asking, oh, is this going to be very beneficial for the U.S. or is this a fair move that the U.S. is making? Because once more, those are two distinct things. Could the Fed be completely impacted by the tariff debates and decisions? 100%, since once more, the Fed is not stupid. They know what tariffs entail. The economy is slowed down by it. It stops the majority of trade, including trade financing. Consequently, the supply chain abruptly slows down. Many large enterprises are no longer able to obtain items. In fact, the economy itself slows down a little. Thus, once more, this leads to a lot of issues. China now as well. Although I'm not paying to read this Bloomberg story, China has been announcing that they will stop producing natural gas and a few other products, such as processed meats and meats in general. Many Chinese imports are currently beginning to be stopped, which is further slowing down trade. There are issues since the supply chain itself is beginning to slow down. It's that easy. In addition, the OECD claims that Trump's trade fights are increasing inflation and slowing down global growth. Now, this is true whether you want to believe it or not, correct? It seems obvious to me that it is true. Is it causing inflation now? It is dubious, isn't it? We are aware that prices for items are rising. We are aware that importing those things is becoming more expensive. When it comes to supply chain and trade finance in general, things are drastically altering. However, when we truly consider it, the reason we are beginning to impose these tariffs on these other countries is because they have been charging us exorbitant amounts on tariffs. This seems reasonable to me, but once more, it's a year of liquidity. It's causing some turmoil during a year when the markets were expected to flare up significantly, but Israel is another. Okay, for those who are unaware, Israel recently reopened the conflict in Gaza, and many people are curious as to why and what is happening. The important thing, though, is that they are claiming that domestic politics play a significant role in this. After all, we have no control over a lot of these material. Therefore, it's not a black swan when it comes to the market and when we're attempting to forecast what's happening in the market. I am aware that many will probably say, okay, so this war is a black swan. For a long time, this has been going on. It's just conflict. It's a political dispute. It's also a geopolitical conflict. Why is this occurring at this moment? We're not sure, are we? No one will be able to answer that. However, it is an issue because, once more, anything involving war, whether it be a trade war or an actual conflict, is happening and we must be aware of it. You can guess how it affects the market. The market is frightened. The market is negatively impacted. And this is all taking place as we head into Wednesday with the Fed Chair Powell press conference and the FOMC interest rate decision. Is the real interest rate decision causing me too much anxiety now? No. Overall, the reviews are conflicting. With clouds forming over the economy, the Fed is likely to stop rate reduction. Then, according to Jim Grant, interest rate increases are just as likely as rate decreases. In light of this, no one truly knows what is going on here. However, I believe that interest rates will likely remain unchanged. It is unlikely that they will be reducing, increasing, or raising rates in any way. Thus, they will most likely remain unchanged. Now, what should be the Fed's primary focus at this time? The interest rate isn't really that important. It will undoubtedly have an immediate effect on the markets, in my opinion. Powell's speech is the primary item on which we must concentrate. For if he is coming out and he is dovish on the markets, excellent. Crypto will surge dramatically. Everything will work out. Okay, buckle up if he's hawkish. Hold on tight because he has the ideal justification for being in this position with Israel. The trade war, tariffs, and other issues are all finally giving him the opportunity to become hardline. I want us to be cool, collected, and simply state that we're going through problems and that everything is still looking really fantastic. We already have CPI figures, so you know things are looking nice. We have already received the CPI data and it was quite good for February. The best scenario I can think of is that we either get a rate cut or rates remain unchanged, and Powell claims that although things are still improving, we are still somewhat worried about the trade war. Although it's pretty much what we expected, we'll have to observe, wait, and see what transpires. Once more, though, the market will be impacted by whatever transpires during this press conference. Avoid using leverage since, once more, liquidations will be at all-time highs today, and the market is expected to undergo significant changes. Therefore, don't. Avoid focusing too much on the major wicks and be ready for volatility. Avoid concentrating on your portfolio on a day like today since there will be significant fluctuations in it today as well. But just be ready for that. Furthermore, is there any positive news behind all of this? Because, it's been really bad thus far. Indeed. First, Jim Cramer is pessimistic. To be honest, there is a direct and inverse correlation between this and the market. Technically, we should be positive because Jim Cramer is bearish. As of right moment, we haven't really noticed much optimistic price action on Bitcoin. For a little while, we were trading and cutting around about 83K. We are currently trading at about $82,000 at the moment I am writing this. Generally speaking, I don't anticipate any major price movement until after the FOMC meeting, albeit I am recording a little earlier. For this reason, I believe that today will likely be one of the most significant days when we truly examine what the Fed has to say. Furthermore, we currently have Rex Gold over here, which is outperforming Bitcoin.